Hello, everyone who is watching this video. I'm pleased today to have a very beautiful interview with my friend and client, Aspasia. We met each other many years ago in one of the trips in Toronto. And since then, we had several interactions in person and online. But she will be the one telling us more her story and how she was at the beginning of our journey together and how she's doing in the present time. Welcome, Aspasia. Thank you for your time and your willingness to share your beautiful story with everybody watching this video.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, so let's begin from since we met. I would like for you basically just to briefly introduce yourself and share a little bit about who you are.
My name is Aspasia. I'm Canadian, born and raised here of Greek parents, and I studied here. I lived abroad for 15 years in Italy, Greece, and Spain. I had a very big life traveling and working in the arts and education mostly. And I came back to Toronto, became a high school teacher, and then had some issues, some big issues that were kicked off by a cancer diagnosis. And that is directly what led me to seek the help of various people, one being an astrologer here in Toronto with whom I'd had a relationship with before I was diagnosed. And she recommended Roberto, and I started sessions with him, first online and then in person, and tremendously helped. I have been clear of cancer now for 8 years, but not just clear of cancer, clear of a lot of other things that I was carrying around with me that led to the cancer in the first place.
Thank you. So, what made you decide to begin your healing journey at that moment in your life? Because a lot of people do manifest serious health problems, serious challenges, and they don't get into this space where they are willing, open, and ready. What was that different trigger for you that really inspired you to go there?
Well, I've always been open to different modalities and tried different modalities as well as traditional therapy and psychology. And so because the and traditional medicine was doing what they could for me, I fell into I had a type of lymphoma that only 20% of people get, which is, it's called refractory. It's particularly difficult. And I had signed up for a clinical trial, and essentially I needed all the help I could get, traditional and non-traditional. And so with the recommendation of somebody, who I trusted a lot, my astrologer, and the fact that I hadn't worked with a clairsentient before, which intrigued me. That is what led me to get in touch with you, Roberto, because I knew I had taken this illness as a sign of a lesson, a very big lesson in my life. I felt that there were many things I needed to learn. Obviously, I was living in such a way that created illness, and I wanted to find out how to live in a way that would get me over the illness, and then let me live more peaceful and fruitful life. And that's why I tried. I got in touch with you.
Great. Do you remember how was at that time for you all these mental and emotional aspects that I guess you were processing? Because one thing is that you are having some issues with life, with your family, with your partner, but another thing is a diagnosis like that. It really triggers and brings everything in a very intense way. So, do you remember a little bit of that time?
You're asking specifically how I was feeling at that time?
How struggling was for you, especially the fact of with the diagnosis. I imagine that that will trigger a lot of emotional or maybe fears, confusion. I don't know. How was that for you at that moment?
It's interesting because the fears and the emotion and the stress were all before the diagnosis.
Ah, wow.
I went through 5 years of very, very stressful time when I took on a lot of responsibilities. I've always been a responsible person, but I was taking on responsibilities that perhaps were not my responsibility. That's something that you helped me with. Uh, but it was almost like when the diagnosis came, I was like, okay, this is, as I said, the lesson. This is, like, of course, it's a fatal thing. It was stage 4, but I did not feel so much, oh my God, I'm going to die. It was, oh my God, I have got to change. And the image that came to me was the image of the phoenix. Out of the ashes, a bird rises. And because chemotherapy is actually burning, I really thought, okay, this is the knock on the door of the universe saying, hello, hello, you've got to do something here. Like, if you don't change your ways, you will die. So it was kind of, it really, the most of the fear was before. It was it was strange, and I didn't actually cry until the day. So I went through a year of treatment. The day I was told I was in remission, that was when I cried. It was like, okay, it's over. I mean, I had to get to work. That's how I felt. I had to get to the root of what was, the behaviors and things that I was carrying with me that made me sick.
It's empowering to know that the same person, same brain that created the illness is the same person and brain that can heal you from whatever you have developed just by changing your ways, your belief systems, your lifestyle, mental patterns, and all of that. So that's what you did. Now, this is more the physical aspect, the health, but do you remember these blocks showing up in your life, maybe in relationships or like purpose, in other areas of your life that you can share a little bit?
Of course, my relationships were all very, very tense before working with you, especially, I mean, my particular issue is with men. you know, I have quite a developed male side myself, but at that time, my father had passed. I was having difficulties in communicating with my brother and sharing the responsibilities of the first family. I was I was in a long distance relationship with my then husband, and just before the cancer diagnosis, he separated from me. So, I mean, you don't want to say it, but it's like, who's the common denominator? Me. So, like, yes. Yeah. So I felt very, victimized. I wanted to control things and I couldn't control them. And
the work aspect, because we spend so many hours at work, so it's a very important aspect of our life. How was that showing up in your life before the whole process? Were you satisfied?
at work, you're saying?
Yes, at work.
Oh, yeah. No, I had issues at work as well. I mean, again, being a teacher, right? It's a position of authority. You want to guide and help people. Well, generally there was a big shift in education at the time, and with the phones in the classroom and the parents, being helicopter parents and everything that on a general level, but then on a more specific level, I was having issues with male students who were not listening, who were not seeing me as the authority figure that I thought, were not giving me the respect that I thought I merited, right? Yeah, and that actually led to an unfortunate false accusation of a male student against me.
Wow, so it's a very complex time. Did you try at that time any other approaches before we met?
Um, Honestly, like during those 5 years before the cancer and before we worked, it was one of those situations where I should have made time to meditate. I used to meditate, every day for 6 years and see therapists and everything, but I felt so constricted with time. I actually did not do any of that, which made it worse.
Okay. All right. So moving forward, after we met, how was for you our first session and what surprised you?
Well, what surprised me in a very, very positive way was the immediateness of the benefits of the sessions with you. Many other, modalities or, kind of traditional therapy is quite mental. It's quite intellectual, to try to make you understand in your head what is going on. But because of the techniques you use that make you envision things and see into your body and actually, like somebody's bothering you, imagine their face in the rose and blow away the rose. And the actual physical blowing away, you feel the weight escaping from your body. And so that was, every time I had a session with you, I literally felt lighter. And it could even be, I would think that I had an issue with one person, but you would sense, and that's the clairsentient part, you would feel. You know what? See, I think really it's not that person you have your problem with. I think you're feeling something about the other person. I would say, oh yeah, you know what? Just yesterday that person said that to me, and we work with that person, and then, without having to hear the whole story of my childhood, or, you don't. It's not linear like many other types of therapy are. It's immediate. You sense and you feel. And, the incredible thing is obviously like you were in Ecuador and I was in Toronto. But it doesn't matter because the universe is the universe. You felt the energy, right? Or lack of energy I was giving out, and that's
That's great. From all the techniques that you have experienced, is there any in particular that you would like to share that is your favorite?
I actually, the one I mentioned about the rose, putting the face of a person in the rose and blowing it away is immediate. But also, I really enjoyed the guided meditations that you gave me, because although I had done meditation for 6 years, which was with sounds, I listened to about 3 meditations a day over 2 years in the work that I did with you. It was a short one in the morning, which was actually really functional in that at that time that I was going through cancer, I was also living with my mother who had Alzheimer's, and I was caring for her. So I had to be up before her in the morning. So I was able to do that short one in the morning. And then, in the afternoon, lying down, there was another meditation you gave me, but the self-healing, that was it. So the self-healing meditation at night really put me, I really felt that I was clearing my body of the illness. And I'm a doer by nature. And so there were 2 aspects of the meditations. One was it was discipline. It was something I could look forward to every day. And it was something that had to do with me at a time that I was taking care of my mother. And, time alone was very scarce. And that I actually really felt that I was doing exercise during the meditation. And those 2 things are the first things that come to mind. But there were many other ones. I mean, now that I have to start and think about it, like the literal breaking of the contracts. Yes, do you see contracts as paper? Are they biggies? Like, are they stone? And you have to take your sword and
It's important what you mentioned in terms of your time also doing work, because in many modalities, a lot of people do the session, they have the benefit of the session, but they don't have to do any kind of work within sessions. And in our case, the recommendation I remember it was that you practice in the morning a meditation that will connect you to the energies from Mother Earth and your higher self. So you have those energies running everywhere and helping you to be stronger. And there was another self-healing meditation that is good for any physical illness to activate your cells for regeneration and healing. So those were very basic, and you had the discipline to apply them every single day. I remember that.
And I use them after our sessions too. Anytime I feel like I need them, I go through periods of, using those meditations.
That's great. I'm glad, because that's the idea, to share the tools and people embrace them in their lifestyle and apply them. So that's great to know. And I'm sure definitely the combination of those elements help you to be strong and stay healthy up to now. So the next question I would like to ask you, how did the combination of energy healing and spiritual coaching support your process?
The digging into the, um, the contracts, the things that I was holding on to, the residual, the resentment, the emotions that had led me to the illness, bringing them forward and dealing with them uh, with your spiritual guidance and, the exercises. It's sort of like healing the cancer was one thing, but it's making you healthy for after the cancer, for life. It's the recognition again, as we said, that these these emotional blocks, the things that you've been carrying with you, are what led you to the illness in the first place. So by dealing with those, you deal with the illness, but then you also prepare yourself for a shift and a way of living afterwards that is just much, much healthier and lighter and more fruitful. Fruitful, what I mean is like it's a better you. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Do you remember during the sessions any breakthroughs or aha moments that you would like
Oh,
to share?
yes. Yes, I actually had to go back and I thought of a couple, but then I went back and I was like, oh yeah, there was that as well. So one that really came to mind was when you asked me, was there anyone who was an abuser in your past? And you always think about your own family, and I realized that there was a very close there was an aunt who was very close to us both physically and emotionally. She always lived either in the same house or across the street, and unfortunately, her husband was physically abusive with her, and I witnessed that from a very young age, and I never realized the effect that it had on me. And I remember you telling me that because I sided with my aunt, I somehow thought that being a victim is better than being an abuser, and that was kind of the seed of times in my life when I allowed myself to be a victim, or that I was, yeah, that was incredible. And the other one was um I was having issues with my brother. He behaved in one way in my mom's house, but behaved in a different way in his own house, and I couldn't understand why. And because my brother's a lawyer, he said he is a lawyer, so he's a person of the law that was set in your parents' house was set by your parents. So every time he steps into that, which was patriarchal Greek, family, he follows the law. And it was, I suddenly was able to, kind of forgive him and understand his way of seeing it. Obviously, I was seeing things from my point of view, right? But and truly what that is not, don't take it personal, right? I mean, he's not acting that way against me. That is, how he perceives of that space and acts in that space.
Exactly. Yeah, very interesting memories. I recall one of them only, but I don't recall the other one. Thank you for reminding me that aha moment. Now, in terms of the shifts that you have seen in your health, your relationships, or your connection to your purpose, what can you tell us about that?
Well, obviously getting rid of the control, right? Not understanding that you can't. There are so many things you can't control, and the irony is, of course, once you stop controlling, for example, maybe you want to see certain people more often, or you think that other people should respect you, blah blah. As soon as you let go, suddenly they come looking for you, right? But they come when they're ready, and so then it's a lot more. pleasant to be with them because you're not expecting. It's adjusting your expectations and not expecting things of people they're not capable of doing. And again, not taking it personally, right? So, not getting offended as much, letting comments go, feeling you don't. A big one actually. Now you're reminding me. Because of my teacher mentality, I always thought it was my job to teach everybody a lesson. Oh, right. And I remember you telling me you used to feel like that, and then you thought, you know what? I don't need to teach that person a lesson because the universe sooner or later will teach that person a lesson. And it was like, oh, great. Okay, someone else is going to do it. The universe, it's not my responsibility. So, I've been able to let go of some relationships that weren't working for me. Some of the relationships that I wanted, a better relationship, and I wasn't getting it. I am getting a better relationship now. And
That's great. And what about your connection to your purpose? Is there anything about that you have in some way expressed since we were working?
Well, it's interesting because that is one of the. I mean, I'm retired. I haven't worked for 9 years, and that's always been sort of like, oh, what should I be in my retirement age? Was there something I should do? And an ex-colleague actually once said, I think this was you should just be a mentor. And I have really been doing that, and it's enough. I have to tell myself, it's enough to be someone that people come and speak to and seek advice from. And I mean, what have I been learning and getting all this information for all my life if it's not just to share informally with people, right? It doesn't have to have a formal. I don't have to set up a seminar, series of seminars or anything. And that happens a lot, with former students, with, godchildren, with nephew and niece. Yeah.
That's great.
Even people my age.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that once you are able to connect spiritually, you are a channel and you channel information for others as well. If they have a question, a concern for you, it's easy to connect with that guidance. And most people don't have access to that. So what a beautiful way to support others, just channeling some light to them in a difficult time or time of confusion. So I think it's a beautiful work that you're doing right now in that way. Even though it's not traditional, but it's how it's flowing and it's very natural for you to express yourself in that
Actually,
way.
that in itself is another thing. I have, through the work that I've done with you and the understanding that you've, of myself and my tendencies and what serves me and what doesn't serve me, I'm letting things come to me. I don't have to go out and get them.
Mhm.
And they're coming. It's incredible, right?
Mhm.
And it's that whole, let it go, and also the let them, like when you see people doing stuff, you think, well, I should tell them. No, let them. Why? You don't know better. I mean, it works for you. It doesn't necessarily work for them, right? So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. All right. So, what would you say to someone who is curious about this type of healing but hesitant?
Well, what I'd say to everybody, first of all, try it. You have no idea until you try it. You must try it. The other thing is this. It's God helps those who help themselves. To really make it work for you, you have to in yourself say, okay, I am going to dedicate time and money to deal with these things that I've been carrying around with me. And I mean, it's just ridiculous. People go out and buy, midlife crisis, go out and buy a crazy car or something. Like, really? I mean, come on. There's no price on waking up every day and feeling better and having good relationships, first of all, with yourself and then with others. Because if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, forget it. All the other ones are tainted, right? And how are you going to have a good relationship with yourself if you don't spend the time and money on figuring out who you are?
And also the time in your own process of doing your own work, because it's not, like I said, it's not just the session and that's it. You have to
Yeah, no, it
embrace the
is. Yeah,
lifestyle
doing
and apply the
doing
recommendations.
the recommendations, the suggestions, the meditations, whatever it is. And that's the other thing about Roberto, it's not a standard. It's like, okay, I think at this time, what you need is this meditation. At this time, I think, and every time that you see that person, you could do this exercise and it would help you. Right? It's very personalized.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
All right, that's great. Now, if someone is ready to start the healing, why do you think this path could help them?
Oh, yeah. Well, because as I said, the illness, you have to understand what really caused the illness in order to do the work for the healing. And during the time I was doing sessions with you, I also was, as I said, besides the traditional medicine, I was reading many books about. Read about 8 to 10 books about illness in general, specifically in cancer. And the human cells all have potential of becoming cancerous. So you have to ask yourself, why at that specific time in my life did the cells decide to turn into cancer? And the reading and the other authors and people who've gone through this, they say that 2 years before a cancer diagnosis, usually some incredible emotional loss taken place, right? So for men, it's usually a job. For women, it's usually a divorce. But why am I saying all this? Because understanding how you've been living your life that has caused an illness is how to, leads. This is how your work helps. Is that it's not like, oh, Roberto's going to cure my cancer. No, Roberto's going to help me understand why I got sick, and Roberto's going to help me understand how I can stay healthy.
Great. In that way, what you're saying brings all the weight of the responsibility to the person who is manifesting the problem,
Yeah.
not to father, mother, system, whatever, right? It's me, the one who is creating
Absolutely,
the
because
illness
people
or the
can
problem.
say whatever they say. It's how do I feel when they say it,
Mhm.
and is it true or is it not, or is it my perception? Is you've got to, yeah, and forgive. You have to forgive. You have to forgive people who have hurt you because they're doing whatever they can at the time, mostly, right? And that's so liberating when you recognize that I've been carrying this around, and yet, it's not even true. Yeah.
That's so true.
How I've been doing bad to myself. It's really, yeah.
All right, thank you. And is there anything else you would like to share from your heart to anyone watching this?
Well, it's what I said earlier. I mean, where is he? There he is. Socrates said, "An unexamined life is not worth living." Well, there you go. You have to. You have to. It is in your best interest to be interested in yourself and how you can be your best self. Having a facilitator, guide like Roberto, which encompasses and transcends at the same time so many modalities, it's a fantastic way of getting to the heart of the issue very, very quickly. It really, the way this modality, the use of clairsentient, it's the immediateness that makes it so much more effective than many other modalities that I've tried. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that specification. A lot of people might not be aware of what this means. Clairsentient means the capacity to be able to read the feelings from other people in a very vivid way, even if they are disconnected from themselves and they don't feel them clearly. Once I am in a state of trance, I can help them to identify them, even to locate where they are in the body, the chakras, and together through different processes, we can clear them and remove them. So that's what Aspasia was mentioning about it. Well, thank you so much, Aspasia, for your time, this beautiful journey. It's been really an honor to work this path with you all these years. And
well, I'm here because of you too. So, hello, let's not.
It's a co-creation
Yeah,
for sure. You were so
totally
ready for this work. You were so committed to the processes and the whole timing that we spent together. And that's basically what has done the result. It was just like kind of witnessing your own process and giving suggestions here and there, but you have done the work. I'm very inspired with your story, and that's why I wanted to share with other people your journey, and hopefully other people can be inspired as well through this conversation. All right, thank you again. And for those who are watching, I would like to invite you to check my information through social media as Plenitud and Soul Path. And if you have any questions, any ideas that you might want to share, please write some comments and I will reply to you, or contact me directly for an appointment and see where we can start working together. I will be happy to support you. All right, so have a great day, everybody. And Aspasia, again, thank you so much, and great to reconnect with you through these forums. All right, take care.